Welcome everyone. This is Coaching in Session. My name is Michael Rearden and I will be your mindset coach today. And today we're going to be talking about unconscious competence. This idea came about when I was looking at getting to the next level of fitness. Now, I love going to the gym. I love challenging myself. And it's important for me to continue to challenge myself because the moment I stop learning, the moment I stop growing is the moment I start depreciating, the moment I start declining. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for you. So today we're going to be having a conversation on the competence level of what we can accomplish. We're not only looking about, well, if we can do it, we're looking at how we can master our skills, how we can master ourselves. In a sense, we master our mindset. Now, true mindset mastery, which I have an article in a episode on that, is going to be understanding how we can get our mind on board. But the competence aspect is going to be giving us the intrinsic feel of what we can accomplish. Sometimes people are going to have these limits within them, these doubts, these fears, and it's going to stop you readily from achieving greatness, from achieving your full potential. And it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you don't understand that you can do it. It's maybe that you haven't even tried to do it. And so we have to look at this in a lens that we can grow, we can prosper, we can change. So let's take a look at my most recent blog and learn what competence is. All right, everyone, if you're new to the podcast, new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and to share the video and or audio to help build a community of like-minded individuals. Today, we're going to be talking about unconscious competence and basically what unconscious competence is and what we're going to be focusing on today is going to be the idea of the limits that we have within us. Sometimes people are going to say that they can't do something, maybe because they're too young, maybe it's because they're too old, maybe they don't have the skill set yet, the knowledge or the wisdom. And then, of course, because there's that fear, if they fail, they're going to maybe feel bad that they even tried and attempted to do it. I always encourage everyone, if you're going through a hard moment in your life, if you're trying to go to the next level or reach the next stage, you have to challenge yourself. Unconscious competence is going to be, can you do things in a sense of, do you have to focus on them or can you do them unconsciously? It could be public speaking. It can be, washing the dishes. It can be cooking a meal. Do you have to think about it? Do you have to read the recipe book? Can you do something from scratch without having to read a recipe book or to, go on your phone or ask Alexa or Google or whatever? You can just do it yourself. You have the skills. You are competent enough. But then competence is not only about, can you do something? Because a 4-year-old can be competent enough to turn on the TV and go to their favorite channel. But can they be competent enough to know that they can go outside and learn and grow and make friends? Or they just want that quick fix. And what happens when we do the things that we know how to do very easily, like turn on the TV, get something quick, take the easy path, eventually our competence level is no longer challenged. There's no challenge in doing things that you know you can do. Most people don't feel challenged when they have to walk to the fridge. Now, something happens though. Something bad happens in your life. Maybe you had a stroke. You had a car accident. And now you're trying to level up again. Because the things that you could do before, you can't do anymore. So there's an aspect of, we know we can do it because we have done it before, but it's more challenging now. And that can cause some angst. It can cause anger. It could be some frustration, all happening at once because we were once competent and now we're no longer competent. We can't do the things that we used to do, but we can become the person that does these things. So there's going to be different levels that we have to focus on today. The idea of, are we competent to do something? And if we are competent to do something, what are we doing that we're not competent in, that we can become competent in, meaning that we're growing? And then The idea, if you ever become incompetent in doing something, walking, maybe you're trying to do something else that you used to be really good at, playing an instrument. I mean, we can go down the list of things, right? But what do we do about that? Do you feel frustrated? Do you make some changes? Or do you just give up in general? All of these are going to affect mindset. And if our mindset is affected, we need to look at the bigger picture. How can we get back on track to being in that skill mastery and being 100% competent? Now, being 100% competent is not meaning that you're never going to make a mistake. Making mistakes is actually a good thing. Some people, they are so worried about making a mistake or so worried about being made fun of or saying the wrong thing. And to be honest, it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to be a learner, to be a student. There is no age where we can be 100% knowledgeable in everything or 100% skilled in everything. There's always going to be something that we're not good at or something that we can learn in or we can grow in. Because again, if you give yourself that idea of, I'm already able to do this, we don't look at it until we can't do it anymore. And then we start with the lowest level, right? Something that we could have done or we used to be able to do, but we can't do anymore. This is the idea of maybe you're older now. Maybe your back hurt, your knees hurt. There's going to be things going on. You can't do the cartwheels that you used to do. You can't run like you used to do. You can't move like you used to do. You have to get up a little bit slower. Guess what? Now our mindset is going to start to lower in a sense of, well, since I'm older, I can't do the things that I used to do when I was younger. Now, this may be true, but it creates limits for ourselves. I know people in the gym who are in their 70s and they're kicking butt. And I know people who are in their 40s who can't even get out of bed. What is the difference between the two? One never stopped. They kept challenging themselves, kept learning, kept growing, kept building themselves up. And then one was like, well, it's just because I'm middle-aged, it was bound to happen. One person gave up. And the moment you give up, the brain is going to say, well, what's the point in giving you what you need in order to get past this? This happens a lot, with people who are sick in the hospital. It could be cancer. It could be any type of illness or disease. Some things, of course, can hurt the body enough where the body can't recover. I understand that. But there's also the idea of fighting through something. Because if you give yourself this idea of, okay, well, I lost, you also gave the brain the idea of, what's the point of healing? What's the point of going through this pain? We gave up in a sense. This can happen with our dreams. This can happen with our daily lives, in our daily lives, doing just anything. If we get to that low level, do we get out of that low level? If you do not get out of that low level, you're going to live a life full of regret, and you're going to live a life that is going to be so far from your fullest potential. Then we get into the aspect of being competent in things. Maybe you're competent at, playing piano, playing guitar, whatever. You know how to play an instrument. You might know how to play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star really, really good. Like I'm talking about, it's beautiful. But then maybe we go into the harder stuff. The Mozart, right? Now we're doing stuff like Beethoven. Okay, great. Are you having a hard time doing that? And if you are having a hard time doing that, it just means that your skill level is not there yet. Maybe you need to, practice reading music better. Maybe you need to work on the different types of styles and the key placements, your fingering, whatever. All of these different things need to be adjusted in order for you to elevate your skill level. So you might be a novice pianist and you can play certain songs with ease, but then there's difficulties along the way. Can we say that we're competent in playing piano if there's different levels that we can still grow into and that we have not yet mastered? This is the beauty of what competence is. It's the ability to grow. It's the ability to know and to understand that there's still stuff for us to do. Then we get into the last aspect where we have finally become so competent. We don't need help. We are a person that doesn't need any assistance. We are a master. But yet, is the master truly a master and never a student again? Because eventually, in time, we can see it with technology. You can be super competent building stuff, houses, cars, and stuff. The moment we implement something new, now there's a learning curve. Technology is great, right? But the moment we got rid of a lot of things and we started making everything more technology based, paying with credit cards, it could be as simple as searching things on Google. Very easy for us, right? But for someone who has never done it, they just went to the library and they got books and they did research. Now there's hardly any librarians. There's more of, hey, just go to that computer, check it out. Now, I'm not saying that all libraries are like that, but this is the reality. There's no card catalog that you can just kind of go through and look for the books that you need. Everything is done in a database on the computer. So you have to learn that skill. You have to be savvy with technology in our world today. Cars, great example. Push to start. People get in the car, they're like, where do I put the key? And it's like, oh, you just press the button. They try to press the button. Oh, you got to press the brake and you got to press the button. Now, again, we're learning. They know how to drive already. They knew how to start old cars, but now the new cars, they have to have a learning curve. So there's always going to be a point where we might hit the plateau. We might hit the tippy top, but then someone breaks through technology, a person, they break through and they say, now this is the new standard. So essentially, we have to keep on growing and we have to keep on elevating. But the problem with most people is that they burn out very quickly. They say, you know what? This is not worth it. This is a problem for me. And they might start something, but they don't finish it. How many students, they go to college and they don't finish? Or we can think about the students that go to college and finish, luckily, and then they just choose a different career path. It could be that what they have decided to be competent in is not true to their nature. So knowing that we can be competent in different things, and the way I like to think about it is we have a zone of genius. We have something that we're good at. For example, maybe I'm going to be really good at coaching, or I'm really going to be good at teaching, right? But that is not what a business is going to be made out of. I have a business, right? So I need to know how to do sales. I need to know how to do marketing. I need to be a good and effective public speaker. There's a lot of things that I need to do and know. But let's say I'm not good at sales and marketing. You know what I would do? I would find someone who's more competent to me. And I would say, hey, I need your help with my sales and my marketing. I want to grow my business. It's not that I couldn't do it. It's just that I knew if I wanted to rise to that level of competence, of being just as competent as someone who has their own agency, someone has their own marketing business, it might take me years. Think of an instrument. They say you need 10,000 hours or something like that in order to be competent, playing an instrument or being competent at doing anything, right? Saying that you have mastered something. And they say the violin is actually the most challenging instrument to play. And it takes about 100,000 hours. That's a lot of hours. Now we look at the difference, right? 10,000 hours, 100,000 hours. At 10,000 hours, can you play violin? Yes. You probably can play it pretty good too. What's the difference between 10 and 100,000? Not talking about money. I'm talking about skill level. The person who put in all of those hours, they can make that same instrument that someone plays sound like it is a different being. They can hit your soul like it has never hit before. That is what music can do. It's a passion. It's a love. They pour themselves into it. But people today, they don't pour themselves into anything. They might pour themselves into their sofa at the end of work. They just fall into it. They might pour themselves, into a fit of overeating and of copious amounts of drinking, but not about learning and growth. I forget the exact numbers, but there is a certain amount of percent, and you can Google it for the exact numbers, of people who run after the age of 30, how many books are read, or if people read books from cover to cover after they leave high school, and the numbers are astounding. It's crazy. It's like you leave high school and you're like, I'm done with reading books. And it's interesting because we don't know everything. Things are going to keep on changing, but we say we're done learning. We're done doing everything. We know what we need to know. Our competence is low still. If I stayed the same when I was, 18, 19, and my ego was 100% full throttle, I knew everything, but I didn't know anything. I said to myself, I know everything. And I felt like I knew everything. Oh, yes, this and that. And it's a good place to be. But the issue is we are still growing. We are always learning. And the moment you stop learning is the moment you start dying. We talked about this already, this idea. There's an issue now. If we know people, they stop at certain ages, what is the point in that happening? What is the trigger, right? It has to be something that we have to identify so we can continue to be competent, but then we can continue to elevate ourselves. Because the idea of competence is not only about being able to do something and always be able to do that one thing really good. It's about understanding when we need to elevate ourselves, and then maybe also when we are no longer competent in it and to the degree of what other people are. And then we can either relinquish that, focus on other areas of our life, or we can begin the process of building ourselves up. I know there's many grandmas and grandpas who relinquish the idea of technology to their younger grandchildren, right? Maybe they're 7, 8, 9. I know cell phones were big. Like when my grandma got her first cell phone, I already knew how to use a cell phone. I was texting and I was doing all this stuff on my phone. But when my grandma got her phone, right, I'm over here teaching her how to use her phone. To this day, she's not going to, be 100% savvy in this phone, even though I taught her, because in her mind is if I have this person with me, they can do it for me. But then at the same time, as long as I know how to do the basics on it, I'm good. So in a sense, let's say the phone has a capability of 100%. Maybe kids know how to use all 100%. Maybe adults know how to use 60% or something along those lines. Still, there's 40% missing if you can see. We can go all the way to grandparents and they might know how to use 10% of the phone. It's just a preference, right? They can learn how to use 100% of the phone, but most of them won't. And it's not because they don't want to. It's just that they don't need to. There's no desire for that. So there's a desire that has to happen in our life. And if we don't have the desire to elevate ourselves and to grow, we are going to slowly decline, as I said. And in this article, Pursuit of Unconscious Competence, it is talking about just that. Because the word pursuit is used. Pursuit means chase. And of unconscious competence, meaning what we don't think about readily. We don't think about the moments in our life when we are doing everything and we can run and we can jump and our knees don't hurt and our backs don't hurt. And it's not until we can't do those things anymore do we start to pay attention. And then it becomes our conscious competence. So we are continually pursuing our level of competence, but it's only on the unconscious level. Because if we do things that we can't do, now it becomes conscious. People are not worried about the things that they can do. If they go on their smartphone and they do a text message, or they can, go to the grocery store and they know how to use the new keypad for the credit cards, because everything is self-check now, people. They got rid of the workers. Some stores still have a couple of lines, of course, because we need them. But there's a lot of self-checkout. Even Costco, the store that everyone thought would never get a self-checkout, is getting those self-checkouts because it's going to be cheaper to not have all those people working for them and just have the kiosk. But then Costco is also saying there's people using other people's memberships and it's a big deal. Whatever, right? Get over it. This is the idea of now we're trying to be competent. We are looking to be aware of what our body is telling us, what our mind is telling us, and if we need to grow, if we need to go faster, if we need to slow down, or we need to relinquish. Sometimes people think that they can do it all and they can always do it all. But there's going to come a time when you're going to have to relinquish some of the things and only focus on the things that matter. What matters to you? What can you do today that you always want to do? What are you best at? And then to focus on that and continue to be a person that even if the cap increases or the level raises, we are people who are pursuing the top again. Some people, they see that, there's been a change and they don't do much. They stay exactly where they are. But we have to continue to chase greatness. We have to continue to chase our potential. We have to continue to grow. So with all of that being said, we're trying to grow as people. We're trying to be the best version of ourselves. We can be competent enough to do something, but then at some level, some time in our life, we might not be able to do the things that we were once able to do. I can't tell you the last time I did a cartwheel. I'm almost 100% confident I can do a cartwheel. Maybe like when, my kids are out and, running in the grass and stuff, and they're like doing cartwheels, and they're like, Daddy, do a cartwheel. I will probably do a cartwheel too. But I make sure I can do that by going to the gym, by staying in the best physical shape I can be in. I'm not going to just let myself decay. Some people do. Some people let skills die because it's something that, they're not concerned with anymore, or they don't see the purpose in it. There's no passion. There's no desire. So figure out what you want, and you can write down all the things that you're competent in. And that's a great list. But what I would love for you to do is to write down what you would like to be competent in 10 years, in 20 years, when you're 65. What would you like to be competent in? And then make that your steadfast goal. Every single day you want to work toward this. You want to keep on growing. You want to keep on maintaining. Because if you get a house, for example, and it's a brand new house, and you don't do any maintenance on the house, right? You don't paint it. You don't, dust it. You don't fix anything that's broken. If it's wind outside or rain or hail, it could damage the house. But if you don't do any maintenance in the house, eventually the house will start to break down. So we do have to have constant repair, not only on our body, but also our mind. And the things that we know are going to be a diminishing asset or diminishing resource, whatever you want to call it. It's like a language in a sense. They say if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So you can do all the work to gain the knowledge or the skill of being a multilingual person. But if you're not speaking it daily and frequently, you're going to forget some words. You're going to forget how to speak the language like you used to. Now, of course, you can always get back to it, and you might not want to get back to it, especially if you're not going to countries that can speak it, or if you don't have to, right? Because if everyone speaks English and you're only, in an English-speaking country, you might say, what's the point? And this is where we are. Competence is going to be what you would like to be competent in, not only what you are good at today. So you might be great at certain things in your life, and that's good. I want you to be great at things. But I want you to understand, what are you going to be great at tomorrow? What are you going to be great in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years? I want you to be great at certain things, not everything. Yes, you can try to be great in everything, but you're going to find that you have to make some type of sacrifice. It doesn't sound like, oh, great, this mindset is so wonderful. Now I have all these limits in my mind. It's not about the limits of the competence. It's about understanding what we can achieve when we reach for the highest potential in what we can be competent in, because that's going to give us more opportunities to grow, more opportunities for our mindset to understand that we did the things. We're not worried about what we couldn't do or what we can't do. We are focusing on what we can do every single day. That's going to have a more positive mindset. That's going to lead us to more positive things in our life. Many people, if they focus on what they can't do instead of what they can do, they stop doing everything in total. So don't be one of those individuals that give up on life. Don't be one of those individuals that stops growing and learning because, yes, we might have graduated. We might have had a family. We might have had now this big, sweet executive job, but it doesn't mean we're done. It doesn't mean that we're done learning. It doesn't mean we're done growing. It doesn't mean we're done challenging ourselves. So today is a day that I invite you to challenge yourself on the things that you're great at, the things that you're good at, the things that you would like to be good in, the things that you would like to be adept at once again. There is a process to it. And if you need help during that process, reach out to us here at Reven Concepts. We'll be more than happy to help you along the way. And as always, my name is Michael Rearden. I'm a mindset coach. If you have any questions, email me coachinginsession@gmail.com. And I'll see everyone on the next episode of Coaching in Session. Until then, everyone take care.